6-0 here this year after last night's opener. The lineup for Bruce Bochy.
Same cast of characters as last night. A little bit of a different order. Angel Pagan playing center field at the top, followed by Hunter Pence in right field. Pablo Sandoval at third base. Buster Posey with a long home run to left field last night will be doing the catching. Michael Morse, Brandon Belt, Joaquin Arias, Brandon Crawford, and Matt Cain make up the bottom of the Giants batting order tonight.
Arizona Ford, starting pitcher. We're just 4 games into the season, but already Wade Miley's second start of the year. He pitched the opener in Sydney against the Dodgers and pitched very well. 3 runs over 5 innings, 8 strikeouts.
Kind of an odd outing for Wade Miley. He gave up an extremely well hit ball to Scott Van Slyke that probably should have been caught in left field, went for a double, then gave up a little blooper down the right field line that got in the wind tunnel at the Sydney Cricket Grounds and carried out of the ballpark.
There's strike 1 to Angel Pagan. We're underway in downtown Phoenix. You saw the numbers on Wade last year. Those are the starts in his, or the numbers in his previous start. 2 walks, 8 strikeouts in 5 innings, 83 pitches.
Now, one thing you do not want to see from Wade Miley is what you saw on that last delivery to Angel Pagan. Pitches up in the zone. He's much more effective when he's down there around the knees with some downward movement, getting those ground balls, working quickly. If you see him throw a lot of pitches up above the belt, it means he's off a little bit.
Locates nicely there. It's 1-2 to Pagan, who was 2 for 5 last night with a double. Wade has made 1 start in between tonight's game and the start against LA in Australia. And it was frankly kind of a tedious, just have to get my work in sort of a day. That was last Thursday in the Cactus League game against Cleveland, when he really kind of seemed to be in somewhat of a hurry to get it over with. Hard to blame him. And he's back out there for real tonight. Base hit for Pagan into left. Here's our mid-first bank defensive lineup for the Diamondbacks behind Wade Miley.
Same cast of characters that Kirk Gibson ran out there last night. When we show you the batting order, a little different tonight. Trumbo in left, Pollock in center, Parra over in right field. It'll be Prado, Owings, Hill, and Goldschmidt third to first across the infield. Miguel Montero behind the plate for left-hander Wade Miley.
So the leadoff man aboard for the Giants, Pagan with good speed, and here's Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence 0 for 4 with an RBI last night. Brandon Belt was in the 2-hole last night against the right-hander McCarthy. Tonight against the lefty, it's Hunter Pence. Belt is hitting 6th tonight. Both the managers, in fact, have flip-flopped their order somewhat, righties versus lefties. And we'll talk about that over the course of the broadcast. Zooming in on the Diamondbacks left-hander. Misses there, 2-2.
You know, partner, we talked at length down in Sydney about how fast the playing surface was at the cricket grounds there, because that's what they do for cricket. They roll it, they keep it very hard, mowed very close to the ground, and some of the Giants infielders are saying that this field is playing extremely fast right now.
Popped up behind the bag at second. Aaron Hill has it. There's the first out. It is breezy here tonight, a little chilly, certainly more so than we're used to this time of year in the Valley. The roof is open, the panels are closed, and there is a bit of a breeze across the infield. The bunting is caught in the wind. Always looks good.
Obviously not sabermetric fans, because they don't like bunting, right?
I see what you did there. They like BABIP, not bunting.
Yeah, there you go.
There's the strike to the Panda, 1 for 5 last night.
It's about the same thing he did defensively down at third base. Boy, did the Giants have some issues defensively in that ball game last night. Only 2 errors on the board, but probably could have easily had another 3 or 4 had it not been for some very generous scorekeeping.
And the Diamondbacks did a pretty good job of taking advantage of those base runners that were handed to them and getting them across and turning them into runs. They were leading the game last night 7-3 after 6 before losing 9-8. And that guy had the big hit last night. Towards second and into center. Pagan thought about it. He'll stop there. And Pablo Sandoval has a one-out single.
Not by much. Nice effort by Chris Owings going up the middle of the field. They'd shortened up a step or two in anticipation of a possible double play and took just enough away from his range that he's not able to get there with the dive as that one gets through into center field for a base hit.
Chris Owings winning the shortstop job in spring training. Didi Gregorius is in Reno. The Aces are playing an exhibition game against Nevada Reno tonight, and Didi is playing second base. Nick Ahmed at shortstop. Buster Posey looks at ball one. The numbers on Buster last year. Last night 2 for 5, including that long home run off the facade in left field in the 9th inning against Addison Reed. This was Buster Posey. 9th inning in a 7-7 game last night.
Ooh. These Giants put on quite a show in batting practice before the game yesterday, and Buster carried it right into the game. Hit off the facing of the second deck right under Friday's Front Row Sports Grill.
He's ahead 2-0. So Miley quickly in trouble here. Still only 1 out. There's a strike. Speaking of getting yourself in trouble.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That's the early reviews.
He started eating that last night. That's how big that corn dog is.
Just left it here and came back.
Yeah.
Pick up right where you left off. 2-1. Base hit. Tim Flannery will wave Pagan. Here's the throw from Trumbo, and it is not in time. The Giants take a 1-0 lead. Buster Posey picks up where he left off last night. Flannery waited a long time before he waved Pagan in.
The ball was hit pretty hard through the left side on a line. Trumbo gets to it in good shape. Yeah, that's one of those. Normally a third base coach, if the runner is not to the bag, will throw up the stop sign. But that time Tim Flannery being a little aggressive. Trumbo had the ball in his glove before his runner got to the bag at third, but he sent him anyway and was able to slide in home safely with the first run of the game.
3 singles in the inning against Wade Miley, who has retired only 1 batter, and now he'll deal with Michael Morse. There's a strike, 0-1. This guy, Bob, we were watching him hit up here during batting practice. Ho-ho!
You'd pay money to watch Michael Morse and Mark Trumbo take batting practice. They hit balls out of sight. I mean, poor people out there in Mountainside Fitness and the Fat Burger, deep beyond the seats in left field, thought they were safe out there during batting practice, but Michael Morse was just depositing ball after ball out there on the concourse.
Yeah, the fans collect right there in left center, and Morse was hitting it over their heads. They couldn't get the souvenirs.
Of course, they do have a term for that in baseball at all levels. He's a 5 o'clock hitter. I knew a lot of guys that were really good at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, not so much at game time. About 10 minutes till 7 here.
Morse was 1 for 3 last night. Another 0-2. 2 down. Needed that.
That's a big strikeout. We mentioned Wade Miley punched out 8 Dodgers in Australia. That's not really his game. Occasionally he can reach back, put a little extra on that fastball, or throw that slider down at the back foot of a right-handed hitter. His game is to get contact early in the count, let his defense work behind him, but when necessary, he can put a little extra on it.
Well, Brandon Belt, who had himself a big night last night, batting second, drops down to 6th tonight against the lefty Miley. That one gets behind Montero, and the runners will move up. So now a base hit can make it a 3-0 ball game.
That'll be scored as a wild pitch. Occasionally as a catcher you get fooled by a pitch. You think it's going to make it there in the air, so that time Miggy just reached across to backhand that ball before it got to the dirt. Unfortunately, it had a little more sinking action than he thought and got underneath the glove.
Brandon Belt, high and deep to right center, and that ball is gone. Belt last night 3 for 5, a home run to lead off the 6th against Brandon McCarthy. He opens up the 1st with a 3-run shot against Wade Miley, and it's 4-0 Giants. This guy kills the Diamondbacks in this ballpark.
At the plate, second baseman, number 13.
Just a rolling breaking ball that stayed right there on the inner part of the plate. We talked about Brandon Belt last night. Really quick on fastballs from the middle of the plate in, and obviously handles off-speed pitches that hang on that inside part of the plate.
Belt had a big year at the D-backs' expense last season as Joaquin Arias looks at ball one. Belt last year 345 with 4 home runs against the Diamondbacks. He's already got 2 in 2 games this year, and that one is on the line and just foul, says Chris Guccione at first. Last year against the D-backs, Belt 11 RBIs in 16 games.
Woo. Boy, any part of the ball hitting any part of the line, and it's considered to be a fair ball. Bruce Bochy is going to come out and have a word with Chris Guccione.
And we're talking about boundary calls here, of course. And in the outfield, those are reviewable. They were before.
And even though this is a reviewable call, I highly doubt that Bruce Bochy would waste a review on a play like this. There's nobody on base, no run figured to score on this play. He's already had 4 runs on the board here in the first inning. I don't think he would waste an appeal on a play like this.
He seems content to kind of punt on this one. Here's a different angle for you. He is not challenging the call. That is the word from the field.
Well, very close, but Chris Guccione had the best look at it. He was the closest umpire, looking right down that line, straddling the line as he made the call.
1-2 to Joaquin Arias. He's blocked by Miguel Montero to keep it in front. Eric Cooper is the plate umpire tonight. As we've already seen, Chris Guccione is at first. Pat Hoberg at second, and the crew chief Tom Hallion, who had the plate last night, rotates over to third tonight. 2-2.
A lot of breaking balls early from Wade Miley, which is not generally his MO. He likes to establish that sinker first, especially on the outer half of the plate to the right-handed hitters. That's the pitch they're most likely to beat into the ground. A lot of sliders here in the first inning. That could be a byproduct of his warm-up session before the ball game. Occasionally a pitcher will go down to that bullpen and either have a really good feel for the slider or maybe not such a good feel for the sinker and decide you're going to kind of pitch backwards today.
Right to the glove. So a rough first inning for Wade Miley. 4 giant hits, including a Brent's. And this is the batting order for the Diamondbacks.
I mentioned the same cast of character for Kirk Gibson, just moved around a little bit. Parra moves up to the #1 spot, left-handed hitter, followed by Aaron Hill and Paul Goldschmidt. It'll be Prado, Montero, and Trumbo in the middle of the lineup. Chris Owings, A.J. Pollock, and pitcher Wade Miley at the bottom.
Matt Cain on the mound. Last season, 8-10, a 4.00 ERA in 30 starts. Parra 3 for 11 so far to start the year. Back in the leadoff spot against the right-hander.
See a typical 4-pitch combination from Cain, mostly fastball slider. He does throw a curve and a straight changeup, but he's going to rely heavily on that fastball, both sides of the plate, mix in the slider when he gets ahead in the count.
Base hit. Diamondbacks trying to answer immediately as Gerardo Parra lines one to right for a leadoff single. Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher is Matt Cain. Did not pitch at all well during the first half of last year, and really had to pitch extremely well after the All-Star break to get that ERA back down to 4. And even then, the ERA for the year for him was the highest it's been since 2006.
Yeah, 5.06 in the first half of the season when he complained about some mechanical issues. For the first time in his career at any level, he said he really had trouble keeping his mechanics together in the first half of the season, but the ERA in the second half, 2.36. Some people attribute it to the World Series hangover.
Well, you forget, you're going to have these World Series runs, and that's when everyone wants, of course. You are asking your pitching staff to work an entire extra month, and in high leverage situations. That's really draining after a couple of World Series runs. Popped him up. Brandon Crawford backing up into the outfield grass. That was the first out.
You know, and that problem wasn't unique to Matt Cain. When you think about some of the horses, some of the top of the rotation guys that are going to eat up a lot of innings during the regular season and hopefully do the same for your team in the postseason, this is what happens. Clayton Kershaw, 259 innings last season. Justin Verlander over 240 last season. See Wainwright back a few years ago, and Matt Cain in 2012. Nearly 250 innings. Now that doesn't even include spring training innings, the side sessions between starts. So just an unbelievable workload on Matt Cain last season or 2 years ago rather, for the Giants. So not out of the question that he struggled early in the season last year.
Look at the difference there in ERA.
Boy, and you certainly can't blame the managers. I know from experience, if you've got those horses, those guys that can eat up innings and put zeros on the board.
Goldie drives that to right center field. And one hops the wall. Parr's on the run. They'll wave him in. And he will score. Paul Goldschmidt has now hit in 23 straight games, the longest active streak in the major leagues. And it's a 4-1 ball game.
This first inning and 1 out of the bottom of the first have gone. I don't think 4 runs is going to do it tonight. Both teams just teeing them up here. Paul Goldschmidt making a bid for an opposite field homer. Just comes up a little bit short, as it is an RBI double to put the D-backs on the board.
This is what opposing pitchers fear. Goldie and then Goldie and then Goldie.
It's a nightmare right there.
That's his first RBI of the season. You can buy those in the team shop, by the way. And how about a 7 for 15 start to the year for Paul Goldschmidt? Martin Prado. Breaking ball drops it in there for a strike. And he is now within 7 of Gonzo's Diamondbacks record, which is 30 straight, set in 1999.
And with that in mind, Gonzo's taking BP as we speak, trying to work himself back into shape just in case he needs to come back and try to extend that 30-game hitting streak.
He put the scorer's notebook down for one night. Well, it's nice to see him answer. You don't have to get all 4 back at once, but you want to start knocking on that door.
Chip away, chip away. Yeah, a lot of baseball left to play tonight. Yeah, occasionally you can get in that mindset. Geez, we're down 4 in the first. Everybody's up there trying to whirly bird and hit the ball in the seats. Yeah, a lot of baseball left. A lot of outs to play with.
Prado down 0-2. Nice job by Posey to barehand that and keep Goldie at second. Quick hands.
Before it hit the ground, rattled around, hit him on the leg, hit him in the chest protector on the arm, and able to stick that right hand out there and grab that ball. Paul Goldschmidt had thoughts about breaking for third base. He gets such good reads on those pitches in the dirt.
Good reactions by Gregor Carr, our Golden Glover, down the left field line, pouncing on that one. Here's Gregor. He's down there in left, and Kirk Farley manning right field, poised and ready.
And jealous.
He just needs a good left-hander up there, that's all. 1-2 now. So it's been a little bit of a rocky first inning for Matt Cain as well now. And we talked about how he struggled in the first half of last year. Career numbers there, Prado versus Cain. It took him really 3 months to figure out what was wrong with Matt Cain last year. And Bruce Bochy said it really was just a matter of getting more consistency with his command. He hasn't been exactly sharp here tonight. 3-2 now. But he has won 3 of his last 5 decisions against the Diamondbacks. Along the line in left and foul. Wow.
Well, while we have a moment here, let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the ball game. Should have had these up in the first inning. Watch out for Buster Posey. We showed you that long home run he hit last night. Came up today and drove in a run with a single. And more of the same offensively last night. It was really good to see the offense bust out the way they did. Multiple guys had multiple hits. Everybody got involved. Lots of guys on base. Lots of opportunities. I'd like to see more of that tonight. Not to mention the fact, as we talked about earlier, they really took advantage of the Giants' miscues.
Another big night for Mark Trumbo. Set for the 3-2 pitch to Prado. Up the middle and into center. They will wave Goldie. Here he comes. The throw from Pagan is not in time. And it's a 4-2 ball game. Third RBI of the season for Martin Prado. And the Diamondbacks are answering.
What an at-bat by Martin Prado. Obviously seeing the ball really well against Matt Cain. He had some good swings in that at-bat. Just missed a home run foul down the third base line and finishes up with a clean single right up the middle of the field. Paul Goldschmidt just outruns Angel Pagan's throw to the plate.
Throw is offline. Goldie likely would have beaten it in time. Runs the base as well. So the lead has been cut in half. Still only 1 out. And here is Miguel Montero, off to a very good start, 5 for 13 on the year. Here's a strike. The numbers for Miggy last year down somewhat, as we know, 230. But last night, 2 singles, a walk, and a home run. Led off the ninth with a homer against Sergio Romo. In fact, Miggy's homer was the first that Romo had allowed to a Diamondback since Adam LaRoche took him deep in 2010. And it's been a good spring for Miggy. Hit over 290 in spring training. And has had a good start in the regular season, 5 for 13. Here was Miggy to lead off the ninth last night.
Yeah, came on a flat slider right on the inside part of the plate from Romo. Get him now. That's a pitch that Romo will spot normally on the inside corner, on the outside corner, keep it down around the knees, but left one right in the happy zone for Miguel Montero last night.
We see you. This is inside there, 2-1. Lays off. Good eye there. 3-1. Boy, the heart of this order. Aaron Hill, Paul Goldschmidt, Martin Prado, Miguel Montero, Mark Trumbo. There's no easy outs there. They can keep that line moving.
Especially if Miggy has the same approach all year that he's had in this at bat. That's a pitch that he would have screwed himself in the ground trying to hit out of the ballpark last year.
Ball 4.
Good at bat.
So Matt Cain, like Wade Miley, having issues in the first inning. And here comes Mark Trumbo. As Dave Righetti goes out for a conversation. 2 on, 1 out in what is now a 4-2 ball game. And the man that's been the best Diamondbacks run producer is at the plate in Mark Trumbo.
unlike a lot of pitchers in the National League, Trumbo has a little bit of history against Matt Cain. 1-for-3 lifetime with a home run and a strikeout. I would imagine for Trumbo this year, every time he faces somebody he's seen in the past, even if it was limited at bats, that's a treat. Everybody's new.
Of course, the numbers last year in the American League with the Angels and Anaheim: 34 homers, 100 RBIs, both career highs. He's got Martin Prado at second, Miguel Montero at first, and Trumbo already with 6 RBIs through the first 3 games. That ties the D-backs record set by Lenny Harris back in 2000. Cain has not been sharp. That's 23 pitches for Cain, and so far he has thrown more balls than strikes. Exactly what Bruce Bochy was talking about in referencing last season: consistency with the command. It has not been there so far tonight. 2-1.
And it's not just the fact that Matt Cain is missing the strike zone, it's the way he's missing the zone. Nearly hit Trumbo with that last fastball. He's bounced some sliders in the dirt way away. He's missed with cutters on both sides of the plate. Normally, he's a guy that's always right around the plate, tempting pitches around the edges.
And it has to be intimidating pitching to this guy with runners on base. Because, you know, one mistake and you can duck and cover.
In some of the video we saw of Mark Trumbo in his days as a member of the Angels, some of the home runs he hit for the Angels, some of them were on pitches on the inside part of the plate and down. Some of them were pitches up and out over the plate, but he hit home runs on pitches all over and out of the strike zone. Tremendous plate coverage, and if he gets the bat on the ball, he generates a tremendous amount of power. A bad ball home run hitter.
Let's see if he gets one here. On the ground to second. Arias. Crawford steps on the bag. They roll the double play. But the Diamondbacks answer with 2. Paul Goldschmidt and Martin Prado drive in runs. And through 1, it's a 4-2 ball game.
Look at that.
That is right in your
Fender
wheelhouse.
Stratocaster with Arizona Diamondbacks. Got a cactus on there. That is a thing of beauty right there. You're going to have one of those.
I know you will. Goldie, the backhander, he'll take it himself. Now we'll get you out there with Dan Bickley again. And Whiskey's Quicker playing outside in front of the Game 7 grill like last year.
Absolutely. Boy, that is just an absolutely beautiful musical instrument right there. Fender, the greatest guitar makers in the world. Very fortunate to have him right here in the Valley of the Sun. And you know Bronson Arroyo is going to be in on that.
He's a great guitar player.
Yes, he is.
Now, what is that? Hold on. What is this? We got a note. Oh, it's a set list.
Yeah.
There's a strike to Matt Cain.
I like it.
Walk, don't run.
You know that's not my set list because I only know 2 songs.
Can you play chopsticks on a guitar?
Well, I'm sure you can.
Now, what is that going to run me?
I haven't checked it out yet, but
can you get me a deal? You know a guy?
We know some people.
Todd knows a guy.
guy.
Todd Walsh probably knows a guy.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
There's the strikeout, 2 down. So Miley trying to get the bounce back inning here.
Of course, I've had a long relationship with the fine people down at Fender after the 2001 season. I wanted to get a gift from my coaching staff, and yeah, it's traditional. Get them a nice watch or a briefcase or something functional that they can use. And I got hooked up with Morgan Ringwald down at Fender and said, can you do us up a custom Stratocaster? Oh, it's a thing of beauty. I'll bring it in one day so we can show it to the fans. That's the old purple snake D on a black Stratocaster. Absolutely beautiful. World Series logos. Of course, I don't think any of my coaches can play a lick, but it's a piece of art. Looks great hanging on the wall.
Well, that foul by Pagan almost took Hunter Pence's head off of the on-deck circle. Yeah, even if you don't play, you can always, pick it up and play around with it, fool around, and worst of all, it's on the wall, looking great. We'll see if Goldie has room here, but it's behind the dugout. I know last year, your boy Kruko in the booth next to us here gave you a mandolin.
Yeah. Told me to work on it, practice.
How'd that go?
Figure out how to play it. I'm still working on it. There's Mike Kruko on the left, Dwayne Kuiper on the right. Fine crew for the San Francisco Giants. Those guys are joined at the hip. They were teammates as players. They've been together forever.
Now, I noticed Kruk always has the baseball in his hand the entire game while he's doing the game.
Oh, yeah. Nervous energy.
Bounce to second. Aaron Hill takes it. A nice 1-2-3 bounce back inning for Wade Miley. By the way, $799 gets you that. Come on, Gibson. What does that mean in terms of changing your lineup night to night?
Well, you try to maximize your run scoring possibility, and in order to do that against a tough lefty like Madison Bumgarner, you try to hide your lefties between a couple of tough right-handers, maybe move them down in the order a little bit. Against the right-hander tonight, you can see Gerardo Parra makes his way up to the top of the order, flipping spots with A.J. Pollock. Also Miguel Montero, Mark Trumbo flipping spots in the lineup. Obviously, you want to do something against the starting pitcher, but for me, it's just as important as what happens after that starter leaves the game. Where do you wedge those lefties into the lineup to split up your right-handed batters? And generally, it's a work in progress early in the season, trying to see how it best fits together. It's certainly tough to tell in the Cactus League because your starters don't usually play together every day, except maybe the last couple games of spring training. So, all a work in progress.
Chris Owings. How about Chris Owings, 5 for 10 to start the year?
And certainly effectiveness has a lot to do with it. Chris Owings keeps hitting the way he's been hitting. You may see him start to creep up that batting order a little bit. Pretty commonplace at the major leagues to hide a younger player down at the bottom of the order, try to take some pressure off, let him just kind of ease his way into the major leagues. But if Chris Owings keeps swinging like he has been, he may find himself sneaking up that order.
A.J. Pollock looks for his first hit of the season, looks at a strike 0-1. The reason we put up that lineup was got a lot of questions on the Twitter from Diamondback fans who saw Mark Trumbo hit 5th last night, had that great night, and they say, well, hold on, he did great last night. Why are you dropping him down in the order? Well, it's because last night he faced a lefty, and tonight he's facing a righty, so that's a tougher matchup for him. And then Belt knocks it down, and Cain can't get to the bag in time. Pollock's aboard. And Owens is on at second. They rule that a base hit, the first of the year for A.J. Pollock, who's off the schneid.
You see Brandon Belt bounce off the bag after holding on. Chris Owings over there could only get a glove on it and deflect it to his second baseman. And with A.J. Pollock's speed, he's going to win that foot race with Matt Cain to the bag every time. And this sets up perfectly now for Wade Miley to hopefully put down a sac bunt, preferably to the third base side of the field, force Pablo Sandoval to come in and make the play.
So Cain quickly in trouble again in the second. Swing and bunt. Backhander it's short to Crawford to get the force on Owens. And that backfired on the Diamondbacks. Kind of tried to butcher Boyd, but he hit it right to the shortstop.
Yeah, the Giants defensively actually had a real good decoy on there. You could see Brandon Crawford, as Cain went into his delivery, break toward third base like he was going to go over to cover third, and Sandoval was going to charge. When you see that as a hitter at the plate, you're told to swing away, which is exactly what Wade Miley does. But unfortunately, Brandon Crawford stopped in his tracks. He did not continue on to third base. Ball was hit right to him.
So still only one out, first and second now. Gerardo Parra lit off the game with a single. He scored a run. So Parra off to a 4 for 12 start this year. Gerardo Parra 43 doubles last season, which more than doubled his previous career high. What an offensive year he had.
Boy, it's really scary to think the kind of numbers Gerardo might have been able to put up if he didn't throw his body around as hard as he did in the middle of the season.
He's talked about that a lot this spring. He basically comes down to, look, that's the way I need to play. He plays with a lot of joy and fire and energy. Of course, the signature play for him last year, when talking about that, was the face plant on the warning track in Citi Field. I still don't know how he got up from that one. 2-1. That Cain is not sharp.
And just not pitching according to his usual style. Really nibbling around, throwing cutters, throwing change-ups. Just hasn't been able to really command anything. I think he's tried to incorporate all of his pitches before he has any one of them mastered in the strike zone.
Oh, Gerardo thought that was ball 4, but Sarah Cooper says we'll do it again.
Yeah, it looked like a cutter that just didn't quite get back to the corner, at least in the eyes of Gerardo Parra.
Yeah, that's off the plate.
Yeah, nice receive job by Buster Posey, but that's not a strike. And this is already the 4th 3-ball count in the game from Matt Cain, a guy who, when he's at his best, is very similar to Wade Miley. Goes right at the strike zone, rarely falls behind in the count, but really laboring in the early going here tonight.
His previous 3-ball count was to Mark Trumbo, and Cain was able to get the double play and get out of the inning. And he's looking for the same thing right here, with Pollock on second and Miley at first.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Another good crowd on hand here tonight. The roof is open, the panels are closed. Try and cut down on the wind. A windy day here in the Valley. Stop by Belt. Cain covers and the runners move up. Nice defensive play at first base by Brandon Belt. Pollock to third, Miley to second.
Second baseman,
It looked like that might be action right down the first base line, but it looked like the ball hit the inside of the bag, helping Brandon Belt out just a little bit. Easy feed on to Cain for the out at first. That would have been some action if that ball gets down in the corner.
So now second and third, 2 outs for Aaron Hill. He popped up his first time. Pollock at third, Miley at second. Matt Cain will get to at least 45 pitches here in the second inning. short, right to Crawford. Easy play. Diamondbacks strand 2. We're through 2, and they trail at 4-2.
And obviously Miguel Montero and Mark Trumbo flip-flopping the order, but he said what he loves about this team in this lineup is he wants to put 2 guys in front of Paul Goldschmidt and 2 guys in front of Mark Trumbo, because those guys can drive in a lot of runs this season. And Bob and Steve, he certainly has plenty of options, and as you mentioned earlier, 1 through 6, 7 on this club, very, very tough outs, and we've seen that so far tonight.
You got to spread the power around a bit, BB. You don't want to have it in clumps, I guess.
Well, and I talk about this all the time. It makes it easier for that opposing manager to play matchups late in a ball game. A lot of people have been asking, why isn't Mark Trumbo hitting right behind Paul Goldschmidt? Well, they're different kinds of hitters. Goldie is a power hitter that makes a lot of contact, hits for a high average, takes his walks. Mark Trumbo's a free swinger. He's going to strike out a lot. And when you have Paul Goldschmidt on base, you'd much rather have a guy like Martin Prado who's going to put the ball in play in that 4 spot. Now you slide Trumbo in either after Prado or after Montero, depending on the opposing pitcher, and you've got an opportunity to have a big inning almost every inning of the game.
Ball is bounced to short. Chris Owens in the dirt. Nice backhand scoop by the Gold Glover at first. 1 away. And now 5 straight set down by Miley, who comes off a 9-pitch second inning. And now here comes Bruce Bochy out to talk again to Chris Guccione.
I think they're going to say Paul Goldschmidt came off the bag a little too early over there at first base, but it always looks like the first baseman pulls his foot, but I think Goldie was clearly on the bag that time. Bochy wasting some time until
look at him keep looking over to the dugout,
waiting for his video coordinator to send word out to the dugout, and that will then be relayed to Boch whether or not they should appeal. That's Ron Wotus, the bench coach.
And he's got a signal, presumably, to his manager. There are no more arguments anymore. It's no. He's saying no. Don't challenge. You just saw him shake his head no, and now Bruce Bochy will give up. What we've seen so far with replay is there are no more arguments. It's simply the manager going out, stalling for time until he gets the signal from the dugout.
Ball and glove, foot on the bag. He did drag his toe off of the base to get out of the way of the runner coming down the baseline, but it appeared like he got the call right.
Yeah, oftentimes there's a sign, you touch your ear, tip your cap, whatever. That time Wotus just said, nope, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Strike 1 to Pablo Sandoval now, so that's 5 in a row set down by Miley, who's settling in nicely after that rough first.
Well, we showed you that play earlier in the game. I believe it was Joaquin Arias that hit the foul ball down the right field line, and really was not much upside as that one's grounded to Prado at third. No problem across the diamond.
Paul Goldschmidt makes those look easy. Another backhand scoop.
Well, there really wasn't much upside to appeal that call back in the first inning, but getting the leadoff man on in the 2 spot in the lineup in front of Sandoval, Posey, and Morse, that might be worth appealing if you thought the call was wrong. But bench coach Ron Wotus just shook his head no, said, come on back in here, Boch.
And of course, on both sides of the ballpark, on the Giants side of the Diamondback side, as Posey looks at strike 1, you have top of the line video equipment installed by Major League Baseball. Everybody has the same stuff, home or away, so there's no favoritism involved. But you do have a video coordinator watching the play and then signaling to the coach who checks with the manager. Spins and throws. Martin Prado. Wade Miley, another 9-pitch inning. He is now retired 7 in a row. CenturyLink, your link to who's next? Well, it's Goldie. He'll lead off the 3rd. Hope to see out here. Paul Goldschmidt leads off the 3rd. RBI double and scored a run his first time up, extending his hit streak to 23 games.
Which is impressive enough in and of itself, 23-game hitting streak, but he's been doing more than just getting 1 hit a game for 23 games. His batting average over that 23-game hitting streak right at 400 with 15 extra base hits, 9 multi-hit games, driven in 19 runs during the hit streak.
And of course, Bob, he has carried over the tradition of bending that ear on the batting helmet, which just does not look at all comfortable. It kind of gives him a Mr. Spock kind of a thing there.
It's part of his approach. He's just uncomfortable. Makes him mad. He's going to take it out on the baseball. With that right ear pinched down on that helmet.
That just looks like it hurts. Goldie with that 23-game hit streak now, longest active streak in the major leagues, is only one behind Tony Womack for second in D-backs history. Gonzo, as we mentioned, has the record at 30. So we can try and tie Tony Womack tomorrow night here. Right behind Tony and creeping up on Gonzo.
Danny Bautista, I'll tell you, he was a very underrated player. Yeah, I loved having him on the team while I was here managing. He was a guy that would play all three of the outfield positions, could play a real good center field if you ask him to. Strong throwing arm. Real good high ball hitter, which is why he got the nod over Reggie Sanders in Game 7. I still get grief from Reggie about that one, but I just thought that Danny Bautista was a much better option against Roger Clemens, being that he could handle that high fastball.
And you've got the ring to prove it.
Yeah.
In the end, that's the trump card. Strikes out Goldie to open the third. That's the first strikeout tonight for Matt Cain. Here's our mid-first bank defensive lineup behind Cain. The Giants defensively as such.
The Giants defense, and we use that term loosely after last night. It'll be Morse, Pagan, and Pence left to right across the outfield. Sandoval, Crawford, Arias, and Belt third to first across the infield. Buster Posey behind the plate for right-hander Matt Cain.
Martin Prado at RBI single his first time. Look out. We saw him come up and in on Trumbo, and now he buzzes Martin Prado's tower here.
And remember the last at bat Martin had. He had some really good swings against Matt Cain, including a long foul homer before ultimately getting that RBI base hit right back up the middle of the field. Not sure if that was by design or whether it just got away from Matt Cain, but pitchers know when guys are locked in at the plate. You can sometimes just watch the way a guy takes a pitch and know that his timing is good and he's seeing the ball really well.
Well, Martin did hit almost 500 in the Cactus League this spring. And he looked like a real kind of a dark horse preseason pick. Predictions are often big this time of year, but he looked like a good pick for a batting title in the National League. Certainly much more comfortable this spring than it was last spring with his new ball club. Feels much more at home.
Boy, and watching the way he's playing defense down there at third base, I'd say a Gold Glove is possibly in his future if he continues to pick it the way he has in the early going this year. Looks very comfortable down there.
Shot to the first base side of the mound. Little underhand backhand flip from Cain. And there's 2 up, 2 down here in the third.
Catcher, Miguel Montero.
And speaking of feeling more comfortable, here's Miggy. And he looks like a different guy. He's mixed up the walk-up music a little bit. That's helpful. For us, probably less so than for him.
Thank you.
Last year, Miggy said, "My bats had the flu." It's been healthy so far this year. He walked his first time up, off to a 5 for 13 start. And don't forget to become a Diamondback season ticket holder. We don't just give you your tickets and forget about you. The Diamondbacks have very thoughtfully set up a season ticket headquarters in the concourse here, and it's staffed all throughout the ball game. Any questions you have about your seats, about becoming a season ticket holder, they can answer them right there for you on the spot. Pick out your games, pick out your plans, all kind of packages for you. You can go the 4-game mini plan, the half season, the weekends. You can go all in, and they can get it all explained to you right there here in the ballpark during the game. So next time you're here, go over there and check it out. Miggy has walked twice tonight, and that's a great sign.
Oh, that's an outstanding sign.
Left fielder.
And And you may ask, well, why? What's that? The guy's wild. He's not throwing strikes. But it's more a case that Miguel Montero is seeing the ball extremely well, not chasing pitches that he knows are going to end up out of the zone. I'm sure occasionally he'll go after a pitch that ends up out of the strike zone, but right now he's seeing the ball extremely well out of Matt Cain's hand.
Mark Trumbo hit into a double play to end the first. Yeah, Miggy, last year the walk rate took a dip, and at the same time he struck out more than 23% of the time, the biggest spike in his strikeout rate since 2008. And so what we've seen so far, both in the Cactus League and in the regular season here, extremely encouraging for Miguel Montero. 0-1 to Trumbo. That looked like the type of swing a guy who didn't see the ball particularly well might take.
Yeah, a little tardy that time. And, you know, occasionally, like we've talked about, his raw power, he can swing late and still hit the ball out of the ballpark to the opposite field. But everything got started just a little bit late that time.
2-2. All the Diamondback outfielders last year combined for 37 home runs. Trumbo with Anaheim hit 34 all by himself. And it's nice to see him lay off that pitch down and away. Oftentimes the book on Mark Trumbo is an American League hitter, high fastballs and breaking stuff down and away. That was the way to get him out. So when you see Mark lay off a pitch like that, that's a very good sign. Montero takes off on the 3-2 pitch with 2 outs. It's popped up foul ground. Posey. We are through 3 at Chase Field. The Diamondbacks trail the Giants 4-2. Crowded out at the RamTrucks.com pool area. First pitch swinging. Michael Morse right to Chris Owings. And Wade Miley is rolling along. He is now retired 8 in a row.
Yeah, a little rocky in the first inning. Gave up 4 runs on 4 hits. But since then, notice the location of the pitches. Down, down, down. Getting those Giants hitters to just smother the ball. Hitting easy grounders. Defense has been up to the task, really has settled in nicely after a rocky first inning.
A 9-pitch second and a 9-pitch third, and he retires Michael Morse to open the 4th. And be careful here, it's Brandon Belt. Belt a 3-run homer's first time up. The best of times, the worst of times. Just past Roberto Kelly at first.
Yeah, we kind of joked about it a little bit last year with Brandon Belt and the numbers that he had been putting up against the Diamondbacks, and said you might have to revisit the scouting report.
So, was that? There's 2 guys out there. There's got to be a great story behind that as Miley strikes out Brandon Belt.
I think you meant 2 lucky guys out there at the pool tonight.
What's wrong with this picture?
Second baseman Joaquin.
Getting back to baseball.
Oh, he's taking the pictures.
Now we get
All right, tweet us those photos, please.
We're talking about the scouting report on Brandon Belt. Sometimes you do have to revisit your advance report. You know, you have success against the guy for a while, and then suddenly he adjusts. You have to adjust as well.
A 9-pitch second, a 9-pitch third, a 6-pitch fourth. Wade Miley has set down 10 in a row. Between nations. Chris Owings leads off the fourth against Matt Cain. Owings, Pollock, and Miley 7-8-9. And if Diamondbacks and Giants fans can sit together, how about Red Sox and Yankees fans? Why is the Red Sox guy? So far we've shown a guy eating a 3-foot-long hot dog wearing a Red Sox jersey, and now we got that guy. Oh, 0-2. Chris Owings 5 for 10 to start the season. Diamondbacks said they wanted a more offensive shortstop with the pitching injuries. Going to need to score more runs, and Owings has certainly done that.
It'll be interesting to watch the early going this season as teams kind of probe around and try to find the weakness in Chris Owings' swing. Certainly his reputation precedes him as the MVP in the Coast League last year. But at the major league level, especially pitchers that have real good command and control, they're going to work down and in. They're going to work up and away, try to go up the ladder, back-to-back pitches right there. Try to find where the weakness is.
Lead off one there. Aha, so I see what you did there. Go Giants. Hashtag not really. April Fool. 2-2 pitch. High to Sandoval at third. Big throw there.
There's some good speed down the line that time by Chris Owings, even though they got him by about a half a step. His momentum was kind of leading him out of the batter's box as he made contact and really busted it down that line. Sandoval really gunned that ball across the diamond and needed every bit of it.
Chopped very high in the air. Owings kind of running underneath it. And here's A.J. Pollock, who singled his first time up tonight. A.J.'s first hit of the year. Calling on the break. He's trying to shoot a fancy shot there, and the guy on the other end is like, now? Do I hit it now? How about now? 1-1. Mitch Riggin. Mitch has got all kinds of cameras now, all kinds of toys, art director, so he's orchestrating all kinds of things all over the ballpark. Coors Light Strike Zone. Play some pool. That's like the members pavilion at the Sydney Cricket Ground, where you had your long bar area. You had your billiards room upstairs. You could watch some of the cricket. A.J. Pollock 2 for 2. 0 for 13 coming in, but 2 for 2 tonight.
See the frustration from Matt Cain right after he let that pitch go. He knew he left a breaking ball up over the middle of the plate. Keep an eye on Cain. That ball hanging out there over the plate, gets up the middle. He's frustrated with himself. Just didn't get that pitch to the location he wanted.
That's that front foot. Try to get it down a little quicker. Miley pops up the bunt this time. Who wants it? Belts is there. And Pollock dives back to the bag. So Wade Miley's bunt attempts have not gone particularly well so far tonight. Two down, top of the order, Gerardo Parra.
Right fielder,
Parra singled and scored in the first and grounded out in the second.
Love to see G hit one in a gap right here and watch Chris Owings really let it out on the bases. We saw him bust it down that first baseline. Or rather A.J. Pollock, I'm sorry.
Get those.
I'd like to see him run too.
Get those long legs running. He can fly. One of the best base runners on the Diamondbacks. One of the things they like about it, A.J.'s game. Pretty good year last year stealing bases, but Dave McKay has talked to us a lot about the idea that base running is not always about base stealing. You can be a very good base runner, but not especially be a good base stealer. What does he mean by that?
Well, I mean, there's ways to work your way around the bases. I've been fortunate to talk to Dave McKay about some of his theories on base running. For example, going from first to third, he likes his guys to always hit the inside corner of the bag with their right foot. Because if you think about it, your entire body then is inside the baseline, and of course the shortest distance is going to be to turn that corner and try to run in a straight line to third base. If you hit the bag at second with your left foot, your natural momentum is going to carry you just a little bit outside the baseline. And I mean, we're talking tenths or hundredths of seconds when you're running around the bases, and sometimes that's the difference in safe and out.
That's how we ended up with replay. Wow, it looked like they had him over there, but Chris Guccione says safe.
Well, they definitely had him leaning.
Boy, Chris Guccione is right next to that giant dugout, and they're letting him have it. Can't tell definitively there. Here comes Bruce Bochy.
That's a tough call for an umpire. As you could clearly see AJ stretching out with that right hand for the bag. Belt's tag came back and caught him high on the right arm.
He's had so many close calls, he may burn the challenge almost for spite here at this point. And
I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's Tom Hallion, the crew chief. He comes in from third. Now the crew chief has to be involved, and we have a challenge. It's our first here of the season for the Diamondbacks. 2 umpires are involved when there is replay. One umpire, the crew chief, talks to another umpire at the MLB Replay Command Center in New York. The other umpire puts on a headset and he talks to the press box here at the ballpark, so he can let the PA announcer know exactly what is happening here, and the process is underway.
Well, another thing to keep in mind, if you are sure that the call should go your way, you still have the appeal available. I mean, if you appeal this call right now and they say yes, he was out, Bruce Bochy still has an appeal left in his pocket.
Manager gets 1 challenge per game plus an additional challenge if the first challenge is correct.
Yeah, so if you're sure that your appeal is going to be upheld, why not?
So you see Tom Hallion there on the left-hand side of that middle box on your picture there. He is talking to the MLB Replay Command Center in New York, which is manned by other umpires. So when umpires put on headsets, and this was something they were adamant about, they wanted to talk to one of their own. So there are 2 umpiring crews that rotate through the command center, just like you would another ballpark. Sometimes you'll go to a ballpark, you'll do a series, then you'll go to the command center and umpire from there. Here's one more look.
I mean, just a lot of things to see there. We've shown you a lot of close plays over the last couple of years. We've shown you a lot of close plays in the first 3 or 4 games this season. And as I said, AJ's reaching out with his right hand to get to the bag. Belt got the pickoff throw from Cain and applied the tag high on the right arm up behind the elbow somewhere. It's tough to see all those things clearly with one set of eyes. So I think this initial replay that we're instituting this year is a huge step in the right direction.
Now keep this in mind. This is taking a long time. The replay official will only reverse a call based on clear and convincing evidence, and I'm not sure they have it here. I don't think we've seen an angle that definitively shows safe or out. And if that's the case, then the ruling is stands, the call stands, which means there was no clear or convincing evidence.
And Bruce Bochy would then lose his appeal, and
he would be out of challenges.
Out of challenges.
And I think that's what's happening here, because this is taking an awfully long time. Much longer than it has been so far.
To be honest with you, the games we had in spring training where a replay was in play, and a couple of the games I've seen on TV this year, this is by far the longest it's taken.
Yeah, I agree.
To get word on a play.
We're at 3 minutes right now.
I guess if you're the Giants, your concern is what effect is this going to have on Matt Cain? He's been out there tossing some warm-up pitches and then waiting to see if there's going to be a ruling, and then he'll toss a couple more warm-up pitches. Now it's infielders tossing the ball around, just trying to stay loose.
Tom Hallian has taken his headset off. The play stands. Safe at first.
After further review, the previous play stands.
So Bruce Bochy loses his challenge. And A.J. Pollock stays put at first base. Again, all video reviews conducted at the Command Center in New York City. One challenge. If you get it right, you get one more. And 3 options: confirm, stands, or overturn. And we did not see clear and convincing evidence that told us that the call was going to be overturned. That is a fair ball into the right field corner. A.J. Pollock will stop at third. And Gerardo Parra is 2 for 3. Tying runs in scoring position for the Diamondbacks, and here comes Aaron Hill. And with 2 outs, how big was that review process for the Diamondbacks?
Now batting, second baseman.
An opportunity to talk a lot to Glenn Sherlock this spring about his new role with the team as the third base coach. I'm sure there are fans at the ballpark thinking, he should have sent the guy, The throw coming back from Hunter Pence is on the wrong side of the cutoff man. Arias had to turn to his right to get the ball and then right himself and turn and throw the ball to home plate. Might have been a good chance under other circumstances, but not with Aaron Hill and Paul Goldschmidt, the next 2 hitters.
Aaron Hill 0 for 2. Looks at a strike, 0-1.
And that's all part of it as a third base coach. You have to put all that into the computer before a pitch is even thrown. Who's in the on-deck circle? What's the score of the game? Does the other team have relievers warming up in the bullpen? Where are we at in our batting order?
Buster Posey gets behind him. Here comes Pollock, play at the plate, and he is safe! And boy, Bruce Bochy, I bet, would like to have that challenge back.
He might want to get out there just to protect his pitcher. Matt Cain having words with home plate umpire Eric Cooper. Looks like he's calmed down now.
He challenged a pickoff play at first, and 2 batters later, there's a close play at the plate, and the call will stand here. He's out of challenges.
It looked like a cross-up. Buster Posey really got handcuffed by that pitch, but recovers nicely.
Ooh, got him on the heel. Looked like he got him on the heel.
As A.J. tried to get his foot up and over the glove of Matt Cain. You can see right there his heel just caught the webbing of Cain's glove. That's a huge break for the Diamondbacks.
And again, Joe Torre talked about this a lot. The idea that a manager has a challenge. He has an extra resource. He has an extra toy. Torre liked to think of it as giving the manager an extra pinch hitter off the bench. There's one key asset, and you as the manager have to decide strategically when is the best spot to use that. And Bruce Bochy, based on current events, and obviously he doesn't know what's going to happen next, seems to have squandered his challenge here. They rule it a pass ball. It's a run 4-3 now, and Gerardo Parra, the tying run, is at third. Here you go. You get one challenge. If you get it right, you get one more. So a maximum of 2. If you get the first one wrong, you're done.
And from the 7th inning on, the umpires can initiate a review on any play that they feel needs to be looked at a second or third or fourth or fifth time.
1-2 on Aaron Hill. Gerardo Parra at third. Do you think if Bruce Bochy hadn't had those other 2 close calls at first base, that he would have challenged that pickoff play? Because it sort of had this vibe like, all right, enough is enough.
Yeah, I've been out here 3 times now. Let's take a look at one.
2-2. It's full, and Goldie's on deck.
Well, we were talking about it with Chris Owings and how opposing pitchers are going to try to find the holes in his swing. You know, look around, probe here, up, down, in, out. And I think the same thing goes for the replays this year. I think managers are going to try to figure out the best way to possibly use it. I don't know if there's an easy answer to that right now.
Right to the Panda at third. Tough break for Aaron Hill right there with a tying run on third, but the Diamondbacks get one across. Some controversy here at Chase, and it's a one-run ball game.
Fans of you are celebrating your birthday here at Chase Field. The Arizona Diamondbacks and Cold Stone Creamery wish you a very happy birthday. Make sure to visit one of the Cold Stone Creamery stands here at Chase Field.
9-pitch second, a 9-pitch third, a 6-pitch fourth. And he starts off with a strike. Crawford grounded out his first time. Giants didn't love what they saw from Crawford last season against left-hand pitching. He hit under 200 against lefties. And they want him to get better versus left-handers, but they understand that to do that, he actually has to hit against left-handers, have to get some chances to improve. So it's been tough. You want him to get his opportunities. At the same time, you have to kind of move him down in the order or occasionally sit him against a really tough lefty. And Bruce Bochy said he's going to do that this year.
I really feel for a lot of years managers really did players an injustice. You got a guy coming up from AAA that's been playing every day against righties and lefties. Makes no difference. He's in the lineup every day. You bring him up to the big leagues, and with the idea that you're going to protect him, then you start sitting him down. Crawford grounds easily to the left side, no problem. Yeah, so all of a sudden, Brandon Crawford, for example, I'm sure he played every day at AAA before making his way to the major leagues. He faced left-handed pitching whenever they were on the mound, and he did the best he could. He battled, he handled them, put up the numbers he did to get into the big leagues. And suddenly you get to the big leagues, and well, now we're going to protect you. We're only going to play you against soft-tossing right-handers. It may help his numbers a little bit, but it's certainly not going to help his progress as an everyday player.
The Fat Burger here at Chase Field. I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything you were saying there. I was watching. Yeah, there you go.
Somewhere back in that kitchen is a Michael Morse batting practice home run ball sitting on a bun.
Fat Burger here, out right behind the third base dugout, and one out in the left center field concourse. Yeah, Brandon Crawford will play against some lefties, Bruce Bochy says. Exactly how much will be determined by his at-bats. It's an infield shuffle this year with Marco Scutaro out with a serious back injury. They don't know when he's going to be back. Chris Owings behind the bag. 12 in a row set down by Miley.
A nice composure that time by Chris Owings. Covers a lot of ground up the middle of the field, and knowing that Matt Cain, the opposing pitcher, is running, he doesn't rush his throw. Gets to the ball in good shape, makes sure he gets his legs underneath him, gets that shoulder pointed toward his target. Good strong throw, nicely done.
He's an athlete out there, Chris Owings. He's got a very strong arm, and he can cover a lot of ground. Doesn't have quite the same flair that Didi Gregorius has. Didi has a certain style. There's almost an artistry to the way he plays shortstop, but Chris Owings can get the job done. And he certainly has been good offensively so far. 1-0 to Pagan. He has singled and scored and grounded out, 1 for 2. And we mentioned yesterday they have to have Angel Pagan healthy and hitting at the top of this lineup because he's the guy that makes this order go. And Pagan's goal this season, play as many games as he can, he says, after last year. Missed 3 months with a hamstring injury.
Well, in the pitch before, a good changeup from Wade Miley. When a batter loses his helmet like this, trying to extend his swing, that tells you it was a good changeup. Took just enough off that pitch, tried to really extend his swing, keep that bat out there in the zone for a long time, and in the process his helmet popped off.
Aaron Hill, another 1-2-3 inning for Wade Miley, who has retired 13 straight Giants. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Coming up, Paul Goldschmidt leads off the fifth for the Diamondbacks. Next to us, have Jack's post-game analysis and locker room reaction. Craig Morgan's post-game analysis and reaction from the Coyotes and the Jets. And Randy Hill writes that Markieff Morris continues to step up for the Suns. All that and more right now. FoxSportsArizona.com. 1-0 to Goldie to lead off the bottom of the fifth against Matt Cain. Paul Goldschmidt had his first career hit against Matt Cain. That was in Goldie's big league debut, August of 2011. He's had a few more hits since. .44 is everywhere in this ballpark. And my wife Cindy was talking about that because she was at the game here yesterday, and she said last year when you walked around Chase Field, you saw a lot of the Brenly purple Diamondback jerseys. You'd see a Gracie shirt or a Gonzo shirt. You come to Chase Field now, 44 is everywhere.
As it should be. Yeah, I mean, why not?
He did not go around, says Chris Guccione, who's had a busy night down there. And you could not ask for a better player or person around whom to build your franchise. 3-2. Was the second strikeout tonight for Matt Cain.
Third baseman.
Well, strikeout notwithstanding, the thing about Goldie is there's a term that they use in all of sports when you talk about players. He gets it. He understands what his job is with the team on the field between the lines, but he also understands that with that comes some responsibility in the community, some responsibility. I mean, all the things that he's involved with here in the Valley of the Sun, and does it without expecting any publicity. Makes hospital visits, makes school visits, unsolicited. He gets it.
He went to Sydney a couple of times over the winter before the Diamondbacks went down there to help promote the cause. Down the line and right, but that one is slicing foul. Hunter Pence having some fun with the fans behind him in right field. Diamondbacks Live follows the ball game here. 1-1. Giants fans getting a souvenir. Look, I just want to hold it. Can I just see it for a second? I'll give it back, I promise. He's putting it in the pocket.
That's why you wear cargo pants to the ballpark, just in case you get a foul ball, home run ball.
Or if you're Carlos Gonzalez, you wear cargo pants to the ballpark.
I see what you...
Getting dirty looks here in the booth. 3-1. High in the air to center, but routine for Pagan. Oscar Posey out to the mound to talk to Cain. Miguel Montero has been up twice and walked twice. As Cain is knocking on the door here of 100 pitches. Giants bullpen has activity. Hopper to short. Crawford. Cain works a 1-2-3-5. We are through 5. Diamondbacks trail the Giants 4-3.
Was asked earlier about the move from the leadoff spot to number 8, and he kind of smiled and said, guys, we're less than 2% of the way into the season. AJ's got to continue to trust the process and relax. He also said, I'm going to get Tony Campana into the starting lineup in the next couple of days, and so he doesn't want anyone to think that's a demotion, that either the replacement in the lineup or also the move down to 8th. And you know, obviously AJ is a guy that's going to catch some fire. So far tonight, so good, a pair of singles.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Cliff Pennington and Tony Campana, Bob, in the lineup at some point in this series. Kirk Gibson hinted at that earlier today.
Well, you got to keep them in the mix. I mean, especially in the early part of the season, that's when these guys are at their best. They've had regular at bats all spring, extra work in the cages, extra work in the minor league games from time to time to get their at bats, and then suddenly the regular season starts. You don't just want to bury them down at the end of the bench. You're going to need everybody on that roster and more. As Pence takes a called third strike.
4th strikeout for Miley, who has retired 14 in a row. Cheers. The other thing about Pollock is, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier with the lineups, facing a right-hand starter versus a left-hand starter. Against righties, Gerardo Parra is your leadoff guy. I mean, that's it. Against lefties, probably A.J. Pollock.
And of course, if Tony Campana is starting, you have to assume that he would be at the top of the order against a right-handed pitcher to get that speed up there in front of your bopper. So it's a mix and match situation. I think a lot of fans would like to see the same 8 guys out there at the same position, hitting in the same batting order every day. But the reality of this game and all the stats that we have available, all the matchup numbers, he's a good high fastball hitter. This guy's a good off-speed hitter. He's in a hot streak. He's in a cold streak. You try to put the best lineup out there on a given night. And it might not be the same as the lineup you had out there the day before.
And there's the man that has to figure it all out, Kirk Gibson. Wade Miley has been tremendously efficient tonight. He's retired 14 straight, 71 pitches, 52 for strikes. Right to Chris Owings. Make it 15 straight. Set down by Miley. And Wade Miley's a guy that understands how to set hitters up. He'll throw inside, he'll throw outside, something the Diamondbacks like to emphasize. And when he pitches inside, he'll pitch inside with purpose. And it's all part of a sequencing process out there. And along the way, he has become a very effective ground ball pitcher. And he's rolling along here after that rocky first. He still only has 4 strikeouts. He's getting it done mostly on the ground with fly balls, mostly ground balls. And last year, a ground ball rate of 52%, 4th best in the National League. Giants have not had a hit since the Belt home run back in the first. A 3-run shot that made it 4-0. Diamondbacks have since added 3. Ball 4. That is the first walk issued tonight by Miley. And with 2 outs, he'll deal with Michael Morse.
We said in our keys to the game to be careful of Buster Posey. I think Wade Miley took our advice that particular time. He just wasn't willing to give in to Buster at all in that particular situation.
And it goes back to the idea of protection, that word that's been thrown around a lot here because of Mark Trumbo and Paul Goldschmidt. Why aren't they hitting back to back? You can get Michael Morse out, as we see here. Deal with him instead of Buster Posey. That ends the top of the 6th. Century League, you're linked to what's next. When we come back, we'll see Mark Trumbo, Chris Owings, and A.J. Pollock. A.J. so far tonight, 2 for 2. That inning is out of the ball game, and now Juan Perez, who is a very good defensive outfielder, takes over in left. And the new pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, Juan Gutierrez, 30-year-old right-hander. He was a non-roster invitee in big league camp this spring, and here he is. He'll work to Mark Trumbo to lead off the 6th. Center field, Pagan. Right to him, 1 away. So saw Mark have some extended at bats early in the ball game, but that time he was first pitch swinging.
Sometimes that's based on the book of the opposing pitcher. Gutierrez coming into the ball game occasionally struggles with his command, so jump on that first thing you see in the strike zone.
Chris Owings singled in the 2nd, grounded out his last time up. There's a strike. Owings down 0-2. On the drive towards second and into center. Chris Owings 2 for 3. 6 for 12 to start the season. Let's take a look now at our Chevron upcoming pitching matchup. Back with you tomorrow on Fox Sports Arizona. Pregame at 6. And I think we'll see a few sinkers tomorrow night. Tim Hudson for the Giants and Trevor Cahill for the Diamondbacks. A.J. Pollock is 2 for 2. A.J., in the words of Kirk Gibson last season, became the Diamondbacks' best center fielder. And the D-backs showed their faith in A.J. with the trade of Adam Eaton to the White Sox. There goes Chris Owings. The throw from Posey is kicked into shallow left. I think he had the throw beat anyway. Chris Owings, a pair of hits and now a stolen base.
Pretty good pitch for Buster Posey to throw on as well. It was a hard fastball on the outside part of the plate. He could just kind of step right into his throw to second base, but Owings already popping up from his slide when that ball hit him on the back of the leg. He didn't know where it went initially. I don't believe he would have been able to advance to third anyway.
Well, he's tying runs, so you want to be extra careful. First steal this year. He's in scoring position. A.J. Pollock is ahead 2-0. A pair of singles and a run scored for A.J. tonight. Mark Trumbo. Sometimes you can just smell baseball in the air.
Or in your hand.
Or in your hand.
Well, that's what a little kid will do. If you give a little kid a baseball, the first thing they do is put it in their mouths.
That's what you did last week in Chicago?
Yes, I did.
Grandpa? What are the reports, by the way, on little Gemma?
Mom and daughter both doing extremely well. For those of you who aren't aware, my daughter Lacey and her husband Patrick Priola back in Chicago had a baby girl on the 18th of March. Gemma Rose Priola. She's doing fine.
Grandpa BB.
Well, I think that was the role I was meant to have.
3-1. Now, will you be the grandfather that leans down and says, don't worry about your mother, and, you know, slip him a few bucks, a 5, a 10, a 20?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give them all kinds of handy advice.
Dig up a coffee can or two in the yard. And
this is the karma. This is the payback. For all of you who raise children out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All the sleepless nights and hair that falls out and turns gray.
She's exhausted.
This is the payback with the grandchildren.
Well hit to left center. That one gets down. One hops the wall. A.J. Pollock ties it up. He's 3 for 3. It's a 4-4 ball game. The quickest way to fix an 0 for 13 is a 3 for 3.
How about that?
And that stolen base by Chris Owings looms large. Diamondbacks down 4-0 after a half inning have come back to tie.
That's a great thing about the game of baseball. Watching A.J. Pollock struggle at the plate last night, you almost felt sorry for him. If you haven't ever been down on a field and struggled that way and kind of embarrassed yourself, but then you come back the next day and you get an opportunity to go right back out and do it again, and A.J. having himself a big night tonight.
He backs Pollock and backs the D-backs.
Boy, got some nice backspin on that ball. Really carried well to the gap, up and over.
A.J. last night 0 for 5. He struck out 4 times in the leadoff spot. And he has bounced back tonight in a big way. He's just tied the ball game. 0-1 to Miley. Now sneak throw to left. They'll stop Pollock at third. Wade Miley on the board for 2014. Dave Righetti to the mound.
Slashing swing by Wade Miley gets that ball by Brandon Crawford. Perez into play defensively in left field for Michael Morse. Got to that ball so quickly, Glenn Sherlock had no alternative but to throw up the stop sign that time, and D-backs rolling around to the top of the order here.
Eric Cooper out to the mound to break this up.
Now that right fielder.
And this comeback does not happen without Wade Miley, who had that horrific top of the first inning, giving up 4 hits, 4 runs, one of them a 3-run homer by Brandon Belt, but then he retired the next 15 he faced, and he kept his team in the ball game, and now they've come back to tie, and a chance here to take the lead with Gerardo Parra. Parra 2 for 3. He doubled his last time up. Two and 0. Giants bullpen is quiet, so this is Gutierrez's inning, at least to this point. Perez calls off Pagan. Pollock will tag. Here's the throw, and it is not in time. The Diamondbacks down 4-0. Now lead it 5-4. Fourth RBI of the season for Gerardo Parra.
Boy, your job as a hitter in that situation is keep the ball off the ground. That time Parra able to get it in the air to left field. Strong throw by Perez, but fortunately for the D-backs, airmailed everybody over the cutoff man. So not only does Pollock score,
they got Wade Miley moving up to second.
Yeah, moving up to second base, heads up base running.
And here's Aaron Hill.
I think they're going to appeal that Miley perhaps left too soon on that tag up in advance.
He did not. Boy, Bruce Bochy can't buy a break over at first base tonight. I mean, it's just been one of those nights. By the way, tag plays are not reviewable. Did he leave the bag before the fielder caught the ball? You cannot review them, because you can't look at the play with just one camera. Aaron Hill 0 for 3.
Occasionally we take some liberties in our telecast and sync them up, but even at that, it's not exact. And obviously if you're going to institute replay in the game, you want to make sure you know exactly what you're seeing in real time.
0-2. That's one of the quirks of instant replay. It's also, there's another reason why you can only review outfield trapped balls as opposed to infield, because if it was on the infield you wouldn't be sure where to put the base runners. So there are some things that don't quite fit the new system yet. Just had a shot of the phone that was in the dugout. That's the new phone that has been put in here, one in each dugout. Right there. You can pick that line up and talk to Alan Campbell. Alan is in the video room right behind the dugout, looking at everything, and he is the first voice of reason as to whether to challenge the call. Look out. Long run there for Gregor Carr, and he pounces on that. Golden Glover down the left field line. As we said, 44 is all over the place here, including on deck. Lays off there, 2-2. Gutierrez has thrown 20 pitches now. Only the board here has him at 19, 12 for strikes. Giants bullpen still quiet. Gets the strikeout. They strand Miley at second base, but they get the go-ahead runs across. A.J. Pollock hitless on the season coming into tonight. 15 straight, now leads at 5-4. And Belt had the big home run back in the first inning, a 3-run shot. That made it 4-zip. He struck out looking his last time up. This is a guy that hit almost 350 against the Diamondbacks last year and went 3 for 5 last night, including a home run.
Good breaking ball right there. Great location. You got Belt to chase a couple of sliders earlier in the sequence that were down in the zone, but over the plate. So come right back with the same pitch and bounce it in the dirt. Hope to get him to chase one more time. That time Belt able to lay off.
Drives that one to center field. It's a base hit. Leadoff man aboard here in the 7th. Hey fans, for the thrill of the game, baseball finally here, and it's happening all around us. So grab a Pepsi and some friends and get out to a D-backs game and live it. It's time to live for now. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Arizona Diamondbacks. We back the D-backs. Pepsi. Fans enjoying some Pepsi products here at the ballpark. Cain Arias 0 for 2. Right field, a routine for Parra.
Shortstop, Brandon.
Good column right now on FoxSportsArizona.com by Jack Magruder. It was entitled 5 Things That Have to Go Right for the Diamondbacks to Succeed. And one of the more interesting ones that Jack came up with was a pitcher must step up. Patrick Corbin is gone for the year. There's Jack Magruder. The question is, who would the pitcher be? And there are starters in this rotation in the prime of their careers who can deliver a career season. It might be Brandon McCarthy. Trevor Cahill's been an 18-game winner before. Archie Bradley is in Reno, close to the major leagues. It could be Wade Miley. He's got that potential. And boy, Brandon McCarthy was superb last night.
I think a more reasonable expectation is for all those guys you mentioned to just get a little better. You don't need one guy to jump up and have a Cy Young season. You need everybody to be just a little better than they've been.
The numbers on McCarthy last night. He pitched a lot better than that, and he was very upset he did not get that called strike 3 from Tom Hanley on that pitch he threw to Ari Adrianza. That would have ended the inning. Open the floodgates instead. That's off the glove of Aaron Hill into the right center field. Belt will head for third. Crawford wants second, and he'll get there. Diamondbacks a little sloppy that time. The execution failed them a bit, and Crawford was able to sneak into second.
Ball hit hard. It looked like it might have just tipped off the glove of Aaron Hill. You'll see him make a leaping attempt out there at second base. Maybe just caught one of the laces. Ball carried on out into the gap in right center. Parra took too shallow of a line. He has to give way to A.J. Pollock, and by the time he flings it back into the infield, Giants have runners at second and third.
Mike Harkey to the mound. Pitcher spot was due up. They have double switch. Perez is in there now. Take a look at the Sanderson Ford Diamondback bullpen. Will Harris is throwing, the right-hander.
At the plate, left fielder, Juan Perez.
So Belts at third, Crawford at second. One away, and the batter is Juan Perez. Perez came in as a defensive replacement for Michael Morse in left field in the bottom of the sixth. So the pitcher spot is now fifth in the Giants order.
That's a risk you take when you make those defensive changes with a lead in the middle part of a ball game. You take the dangerous bat of Michael Morse out of the lineup in favor of Juan Perez's defense in left field with a lead in the game, and then suddenly you lose that lead.
Little conference there. Mr. Posey, Hunter Pence, Bruce Bochy. 90th pitch on the way from Miley. Oof. I would have had him there. There it is. Ring him up and sit him down. 5 strikeouts for Miley. 2 down.
He's right back with that good fastball in the inside corner. No tailing action on that. No sink on that. That was a 4-seamer. He just reared back and threw it as hard as he could to that inside part of the plate and got the call.
So here's Pagan. Singled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 3. 2 outs. Belt at third, Crawford at second in a 1-run ball game. Skied in the air, shallow right center. Aaron Hill is out there, and Wade Miley. Oh, he hung on. Wiggles off the hook, and so does Aaron Hill. Everybody relax, take a deep breath. Woo. Challenge on that pickoff play at first. Cannot challenge the call there when it looked like they had Pollock out at home. And AJ fuels the comeback. 3 for 3 and now down 4-0. It's 5-4 Diamondbacks as Goldie opens the 7th inning against Gutierrez. And we introduce on camera Joe Borowski for the first time this year. How was your offseason?
Uneventful, but I'm glad to be back. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Excited for baseball to start again, and I'm really looking forward to a very exciting baseball season.
I tell you what, this series so far has been anything but uneventful. What do you make of the goings-on so far?
Well, it was great to see the offense come alive yesterday. They really struggled in Australia to score runs, and it's just great to see them come back in this game. You fall behind 4-0 early, and the offense fought their way through. Wade did a great job of leaving it at 4 after that first. And the offense really coming alive now.
Center field, and that one's a base hit. Paul Goldschmidt, 2 for 4.
I want to ask you, because I'm sure there's a lot of fans that are wondering, how could you look as bad as Wade Miley did in that first inning and as good as he has since then? And you see starting pitchers do that a lot. Trouble in that first inning.
And the one thing about that I noticed mostly is, if you look back at that first inning, there's one pitch that I would take back, and it was the hanging slider to Belt. Oof. The other 3 guys hey, you know, as a pitcher, you're going to make pitches, and these guys get paid a lot of money to hit pitches. They found holes, they got guys on, and then one mistake to Belt, 3-run homer you can't take back. If anything, you take that pitch back, it's a whole different story. But unfortunately, when you make mistakes in this league, usually you don't get a second chance with them.
Unlike our golf games, you don't get mulligans.
Well, it depends who you're playing with.
No, but Wade did a great job after that. He really settled down, and I loved the pace he was going at. He was working fast, getting back up on a rubber, and we've seen in the past, that's when he pitches best, is when he doesn't take a lot of time between pitches. He just gets up there, gets the sign from Miggy, and goes.
Martin Prado looks at a strike. It's 1-1.
And it's also looked since the first inning, he's had good command of his breaking pitch. That's something that's not always there for him every night, but we've seen him be able to throw it for strikes when he wants to and bounce it in the dirt when he wants to.
And that's the great thing that he's done, is he's thrown pitches and he's been able to repeat the location of them. When he gets a slider down in the dirt, he's able to repeat it the next pitch. And that's where he's gotten the success, is just repeating his locations and not leaving pitches up in his zone like he did that first inning.
Will Harris was up and throwing in the Diamondbacks bullpen. It's quiet out there now. Up the steps and into the ballpark here at Chase Field. Another gorgeous night. Roof is open. Panels are closed, as you see there. Keeps it from getting too windy inside the ballpark. Diamondbacks have out hit the Giants 11-6. Bronson Arroyo, who will pitch here Thursday in the series finale. And that's a great example of some of the things that have been talked about this spring with the addition of Arroyo.
Yeah.
Now this guy's a pro's pro.
Absolutely. He's done it for many years. He's an innings eater and really invaluable with the knowledge that he has.
Yeah, those discussions.
Yes, and it's somebody who's been around the league for that long who can really help someone like Wade.
Goldie off with the pitch, so they have no force at second. They move him along. Crawford had no other play but to go to first, so Goldschmidt moves up.
And the thing Bronson Arroyo also brings, there are some pitchers you get in a jam. What do you do when you get to the 3-1 count on this guy? I just rear back and throw it 98. Well, Bronson Arroyo doesn't have that particular pitch in his arsenal. He's had to learn how to pitch, how to add and subtract and take advantage of a hitter's aggressiveness. All very valuable lessons for some of these younger D-backs pitchers.
They will walk Miguel Montero with first base open and Mark Trumbo on deck. This is a great example, again, of what we've talked about with protection. Now, here the Giants will elect with first base open to take their chances with Mark Trumbo because there are ways, at least the book says, to get Mark Trumbo out.
And the big thing is with Gibby, with his lineup change tonight, he splits up the two righties, puts Miggy in there for a left-handed bat. Now you intentionally walk Miggy, and what a great bat he's been swinging so far this season. And you bring up Trumbo, who, in this situation, you'd love to have up guys in scoring position and a big power bat.
So they will gamble that they can get perhaps the double play ground ball or at least the strikeout against Trumbo, and they'll work to him with Goldie on second and Montero at first. Miggy has now walked 3 times tonight. So here's Mark Trumbo, a big RBI man so far. He's got 6 on the season, but he's 0 for 3 tonight, including hitting into a double play in the first. He flying out to center on the first pitch his last time up. You want to be a big league manager? A lot of decisions in there. And Bruce Bochy just made one. We'll see how it plays out here. How would you pitch to this guy?
Gutierrez, even though he throws in the mid-90s, he falls in love with his slider. If I'm Trumbo, I'm going up there looking for something soft out over the middle of the plate. And you see Gutierrez. And that's the thing that even when he was with the Diamondbacks, it baffled me as to how somebody who throws 95, 96 fell in love with the slider, and that normally got him in trouble. He'd fall behind early with the sliders, and then he'd have to come 3-0, 3-1 with fastballs down the middle. And Bob, you know, as a big league hitter, you're salivating when you see a fastball down the middle at 95. Those balls go a long way.
This guy can hit him a long way, that's for sure. 2-0.
Exactly what you're talking about. 2 sliders to start the sequence, just nibbling away at that outside corner. Now he's in a obvious fastball count, you would assume.
And as a hitter, you know, you're looking middle in right now for a fastball. If you do see spin, I don't swing at it as a hitter. You're looking for your pitch in a 2-0 count right here, something you can drive.
Because even if he drops it in, it's still only 2-1.
Absolutely.
Right to the governor.
Ooh, home run hack there.
Yeah.
Got the fastball up in the zone. Good swing, fouled it straight back.
Just had a little bit too much tail back over the inside part of the plate.
There's the heat, 2-2. Right to second. Arias, Crawford, they roll the double play that ends the threat. Joe, thanks. We'll see you in the postgame show.
Looking forward to it.
Still a 1-run game through 7. But, and so far tonight, the answer is Will Harris, who kind of has the same stuff in a sense. Doesn't quite throw quite as hard as Hernandez does, but he can overpower guys and get the strikeouts.
And he's got that cutter. He commands that cut fastball, or at least he has throughout the spring Cactus League on both sides of the plate. Really pitching with a lot of confidence. I think he read some of the rumors that he was going to be the odd man out in that bullpen and decided he was going to go out and show Kirk Gibson and Mike Harkey that he belonged on this staff.
That was because Will Harris had options and Randall Delgado does not, which means he can't be sent down to the minor leagues without clearing waivers first, and of course he would be snatched up. So Delgado started out in the bullpen. They were looking at Harris with options. Then Corbin got hurt. Then Hernandez got hurt. And things are changing on a daily basis here. Hunter Pence, Prado, the backhander, long throw. Got him. AJ and Dan, that one might be the one.
Chaz Roberts, cool play of the game. None cooler down there at the hot corner than Martin Prado. Always seems to have that internal stopwatch running in his head. He knows how much time he has, when he needs to hurry, when he has a little extra time. Perfectly done that time.
1 pitch, 1 out. Anytime you can retire Hunter Pence with 1 pitch and a 1-run game in the 8th, you will take it. And here's Sandoval. Singled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 3. Diamondbacks thrilled with what they found in Will Harris last year. Big arm, hard cutter, as Bob mentioned, can throw in the mid-90s.
And he's a workhorse since he got called up last year in May. I believe it was May 10th. The second most appearances in the National League.
61 appearances last year, 4-1, a 2.91 ERA. And this is a guy that can come in at difficult spots and not just get outs, but get them against middle of the order bats. And that's critical. Big difference. This is there, 3-0.
A little shake of the head out there by Will Harris. Thought he caught enough corner that time, but the good news is he missed in his favor. Is farther in off the plate rather than leave it out there where Pablo could extend his arms. Rushed it right by him.
3-1. The panda wear. There's a strike. 3-2. Harris is back.
Bread and butter. This very subtle movement at the very end. Looks like a four-seam fastball to the hitter, but has just enough movement to take that ball off the sweet spot of the bat, get it down near the handle.
Ball 4. One out walk. Posey coming up.
Catcher, Buster Posey.
A Giants guy with a panda hat surrounded by Diamondbacks. Sandoval the tying run at first. Buster Posey singled and scored in the first, walked his last time up. There's a strike. Just missed there, apparently. This was Buster Posey in the 9th inning last night against Addison Reed. Off the facade in left center.
And with that in mind, Will Harris's first 2 deliveries to Buster off the outside corner. Well, one on the corner, one just off the corner.
Harris is ahead now, 1-2.
Kick from Buster Posey, gets all the weight on that back leg and then shifts forward as he drives that bat through the hitting zone. That one just a little higher than he can handle.
Struck him out. Some words with Eric Cooper. 2 down.
A couple of cutters away, then a fastball up, comes back with a cutter that, in the estimation of Eric Cooper, caught the inside corner. I don't think Buster agrees.
Pinch hitting for Juan Gutierrez.
Pitcher spot
Number 7
is now
Blanco.
Gregor Blanco comes in, and he will hit for Gutierrez.
Well, every out in the game is a big out, especially in a 1-run game late. But getting by Buster Posey here in the 8th inning, well, you'd like to think you don't have to see him at the plate anymore tonight.
We saw Blanco last night as a pinch hitter. He pinch hit in the 5th and had an RBI groundout. Hopefully that's the end of Posey's night at the plate. Belt on deck. One and one. Two-one pitch. Brandon Belt, left-hand hitter, is on deck. Sanderson Ford, Diamondback bullpen is busy. Left-hand specialist Joe Thatcher is warming up. So if Blanco reaches, it'll be Thatcher versus Belt. Diamondbacks going with 3 lefties in that 13-man pitching staff. 3 lefties in the bullpen, I should say. And Thatcher and Perez, who we saw last night, along with Ryan Rowland-Smith. Two and two. Out of play. ring him up and sit him down. Will Harris, the walk to Sandoval, rings up Posey, rings up Blanco, and we go to the home half of the eighth. The Diamondbacks lead it 5-4.
The Los Angeles Dodgers make their first visit of the season to Chase Field.
Standing 2.16 ERA. That was tied for the 9th lowest among National League relievers.
He's had 7 victories in 3 of the last 4 seasons. The ERA never higher than 2.84. He's been a very unsung member of that Giants bullpen. Done a nice job for him.
Chris Owings leads off the 8th. Owings is 2 for 3, a pair of singles. He scored a run. And Chris Owings, as he steps in here, is off to a 6 for 12 start to the season. He wanted more offense out of the shortstop spot. So far, they're getting it. Mentioned earlier, the Reno Aces are playing an exhibition game against University of Nevada, Reno, and Didi Gregorius was the starter at second base with Nick Ahmed at short. Archie Bradley pitching that ball game. The 0-2. And Kevin Towers said whoever did not win the starting shortstop job, the big league level, would go to Reno and play some second base because Ahmed, the UConn guy, is in the mix there as well. So Didi at second tonight for the Aces.
And good luck to the Aces all season long. New manager Phil Nevin at the helm. Helped out by pitching coach Mike Parrott. Greg Gross. Good luck to the Aces. Go get them.
1-2. Popped him up. Sandoval calling for it. No way.
Center field, A.J. Pollock.
Here is our APS Energy All-Star. What a night for A.J. Pollock. Had that rough night last night. 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Hitless on the season, but tonight 3 for 3. He has scored twice and a huge RBI double his last time up. And we've seen from A.J. he just gets better and better. The more he plays, the more he progresses, all aspects of his game. And there's still, I think, a lot of offensive upside here. Just continues showing up. In fact, that's one of the things Kirk Gibson said he liked most about A.J. last year, which was his first full big league season. Gibby said, this guy's a sponge. You know, he's not looking at learning tomorrow. He wants to learn today. He wants to get better right now. And Kevin Towers said when they made the decision to trade Adam Eaton to the White Sox, it wasn't that they disliked Eaton. It's just that they really liked Pollock a lot. He did not go.
Well, you know, especially defensively, there were some considerable differences. I mean, Adam Eaton covers a lot of ground. He doesn't always take the most direct route to the baseball, but D-backs fans remember there was a number of plays last year on balls hit to center field where Adam Eaton would chase all the way to the wall. The ball would hit the wall and ricochet back to the infield. Batter runner gets extra bases. A.J. Pollock just seems to have that knack to know when to go to the wall and try to make the catch and when to back off and play the carom.
Looks a called strike 3 there. Hey fans, follow the D-backs with MLB.com at bat for your iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10, or Windows Phone 8. You can get scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. So text at bat to 31826 or visit dbacks.com for details. Eric Chavez will hit in the pitcher spot here. Chavez up last night at pinch hit role. And that bottom 9th struck out against Sergio Romo. Addison Reed, a chance for redemption. One to Chavez. Roll to second. Arias corrals it. And here we go. We head to the ninth. The new closer, after giving up a home run last night, comes in tonight. Last night in the ninth. He comes into the ninth inning 24 hours later, holding a 1-run lead.
Heard a pitching coach say one time the most valuable trait a closer can have is a short memory. Because you're going to have some stinkers from time to time, but you know, if you have a lead late in the ball game, you're going to get that ball again the next day, so you better forget about yesterday.
Strike one to Brandon Belt, and this is a tough guy to start out with. Belt 3 for 5, including a homer last night. Hit a 3-run home run in the first tonight against Wade Miley. Addison Reed says he has always wanted to be a closer. He's never really interested in being a starter. Growing up, going to Angels games, Troy Percival was his guy. He said watching Percival gave him that closing itch. He said, you know, you watch that, Percival would come charging out of the Angels bullpen. Addison Reed, 13 or 14-year-old kid, said, you know, boy, that's a feeling he just can't get anywhere else. And that's the feeling he likes to have. Oh, 0-2. Last night gave up 2 hits, a single to Belt, a home run by Posey. One down. Back with you tomorrow on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. D-backs and Giants, Cahill and Hudson. Coverage begins 6 o'clock. Live pregame, Diamondbacks live. Fox Sports Arizona Plus. For the complete Plus channel listing, you can check out foxsportsarizona.com. Big out there to get Belt.
For Joaquin Arias.
Joaquin Arias, the schedule here.
Sanchez.
And instead, we'll see the backup catcher, Hector Sanchez. There's the strike, 0-1. Popped him up along the left field line. Prado, Owens calling for it. And he can't corral it. It drops in for a base hit, and Sanchez is at second. It drifted back toward the playing field for Owens, and back a bit too far. And Chris had that one go off the thumb of his glove last night in shallow center. This one, he never did get a glove on.
Yeah, we mentioned it throughout the evening. There is some wind circling around inside Chase Field tonight, and valuable lesson learned there for Chris Owens. Covered a lot of ground to get there. You could clearly see him waving off his teammates to make the play. Just overran the ball, came back into fair territory.
Adrianza will run for Sanchez at second base. He's the tying run with 1 out. Brandon Crawford steps in now. He doubled his last time up, 1 for 3. Ray Adrianza. Oh, 1. Popped up again. Foul ground. Montero near the on-deck circle. 2 down.
Left fielder Juan Perez.
It's up to Juan Perez. 1 out to go here for Addison Reed. Perez struck out looking his first time up. On their feet here at Chase. Addison Reed trying to nail down his first Diamondback save. Tying run at second, 2 down. Strike 1. Oh, 2. Fastball slider.
Hard slider at 86 that time. You can see Addison Reed taking a little extra time before he delivered that pitch. I expected Perez to call timeout, but stayed in the batter's box. Reed went ahead and delivered the pitch at 86 with a lot of movement.
He struck him out, and the Diamondbacks win it. Down 4-0 after a half inning. They're on the board in 2014 with a 5-4 win, and Addison Reed shuts the door. A big bounce back for the new D-back closer.
Big bounce back for Addison Reed, and a big bounce back for Wade Miley after that first inning. Gave up 4 runs on 4 hits. Really settled in and dazzled this Giants lineup. Reed finishing him off with a fastball up and out over the plate for the called 3rd strike. First save as a D-back.
So a tremendous ball game for Diamondback Nation here at Chase Field. They get their first win of the season, a 5-4 come-from-behind win. They out-hit the Giants 11-7. Wade Miley bounces back from the rough first, retires the next 15 he faces. And the Diamondbacks get the win. A lot to analyze here, so let's go out to center field to Jody and Joe.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm going to start this off.